It's not something that a lot of people expected because Illinois is considered a state that is strongly in the Democratic column. So why then come to Springfield and put the national and international spotlight back on this city? Well, I think there are a couple of reasons. Number one, it helps shore up his local base. Barack Obama, from Republicans in particular, has taken some heat because while he's campaigning for president, he's still the United States Senator, and he's not, some would say, spending enough time on Illinois problems. Certainly there have been various convulsions in the Illinois legislature. Barack Obama has been off in many other states campaigning, winning primaries. The people who like him are very proud of him for that, but if you are a John McCain fan right now, or a Republican in general who wants the Republican side to win, you will point out that the candidate for president has not been around enough. So what this does is, in a very high intensity way, show that he's back in Illinois and using this as a base to make really a major appearance in his campaign as he sets off towards Denver for next week's Democratic National Convention. The other thing is, coming back to the old state capitol, or having it as his background in hopefully a lot nicer weather than back on February 10th of 2007 when he announced his candidacy for president, is certainly going to bring alive the same imagery he did the first time. Abraham Lincoln worked in this building. Okay, the building was torn down in the 60s and rebuilt, but it's beautiful. It's kind of like a museum. It's a living museum because they still have legislative chambers in there, reconstructed to look like they did back in the 1800s. And so here, even though Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, which Republicans are quick to point out, all Illinoisans, this is the land of Lincoln, it's on our license plates. So Barack Obama uses that imagery, and Lincoln is tremendously popular all across our country and indeed across the world. So Obama clearly is using that. Again, Republicans are saying, okay, he's using Lincoln, he's using Springfield as a backdrop, why doesn't he visit here and help out? On the other hand, he is another Illinois politician who is trying to show that he cares about the people and will move the country forward in the way that Lincoln did. So really, Democrats and Republicans have often used him just as Democrats and Republicans use John Kennedy when they talk in their political speeches. There were, when it was freezing cold, a year and a half ago, there were an estimated 14,000 to 17,000 people that packed the streets of Springfield on that morning. It was at least bright and beautiful, but freezing. And that was when there were several Democratic candidates for president. I think there were about 10 still in the mix at that time. And Barack Obama was seen as somewhat of a long shot. You are going to see not only Springfield folks, and they came from pretty far away last time because of Obama's kind of panache and the fame that he achieved through his books, and in the beginning through his speech at his keynote address at the Democratic National Convention 4 years ago. But you're going to see people come from far and wide because he has shown if there's one thing he can do, it's draw a crowd. People like to hear him speak. Republicans, again, will say, speeches aren't everything. In fact, and interestingly, during the primary season, Hillary Clinton, who was the last standing Democrat in the way of Obama's getting the nomination, also tried to make a lot of, well, he's a good speaker, but, talk is one thing, action is another. So it is an interesting political reality right now that Obama may speak so well that it becomes a liability. At least people hope it is if they are opposed to him. Hillary Clinton hoped it was, and John McCain hopes it is. But people do like to hear him speak. And the fact that he drew what they said was 200,000 people in Germany on a recent trip overseas, that caused the McCain folks and Republicans in general to make fun of him and to compare him to a Britney Spears, to say he's not serious, he's just popular. One other benefit that he can get from being in Springfield is to, and obviously I think he'll talk a lot of policy plus some of the vision stuff, is to say, I can draw a big crowd in America as well, in the heartland, in my own state. So Obama comes back. He'll drive Springfield a little crazy. On the day this happens, there is a blues and barbecue festival right around the old state capitol to one side. Costs $5 to get in unless you're 12 or under. They say this will still go on despite what is expected to be a larger crowd, and possibly a much larger crowd than was here in February. So it will be crazy. This will probably be an early afternoon event from the latest we've heard. And by late afternoon, I think it'll all be over and people will be dispersed and they'll probably be tearing down all of the structures that they put up for the press to watch this event and have good camera angles. And then they're probably going to sell a lot more ribs than they might have otherwise downtown Springfield. But this could mean some streets being closed off for a day or two because unlike a year and a half ago, the Secret Service is now in tow and managing events where Barack Obama is. So it's a big national and international spotlight again for Springfield. Obama hopes it will kick off a strong week of his campaign. Politicians running for president always want a bump from the convention, and this is part of his process. It's all a big show on both sides because we've known now for weeks or months who the main candidates are. It's all a big show, and they're trying to orchestrate it as good as they can. And Springfield and the imagery of Lincoln is playing a key role in Obama's attempt to do that as we come up on Convention Week in Denver.